We are finally back here in Way the Hunter after a bit of an extended break right after the most recent update. Unfortunately, that update introduced a bit of kind of screen jittering that'll happen every now and then. I was hoping maybe that would be fixed before we came back to the game, but I just couldn't stay away for that long. And one of the things with that update were changes to the existing rares. The melanistic mule deer look so much better now, and I really can't wait to take Midnight, our melanistic mule deer buck, and see what that looks like. We're going to visit him today, and also, I want to take a quick look at the new albino textures. They look way more albino now than they used to, and I think at some angles, particularly like this, the texture almost looks too smooth. I think it's just how stark white these guys are now, because if you look up close, all the fur texture is still there, but at some angles they almost do look like they don't have the fur there. But either way, really cool to see some of those improvements happening, and I am super excited to head out here on Nez Perce again. It's been a while since we've hunted here. Maybe we'll get to see Midnight even age today. I don't know where we are in the aging cycle, but regardless, we're going to keep on hunting, keep on looking for rares, and of course, try to add more 5 stars to our trophy lodge. Now, there were a whole bunch of changes and additions in this most recent update, and I know they're not super new anymore as the update was a couple of weeks back, but one of, if not maybe the most impactful ones, was the change to the zone times. So for instance, white-tailed deer now will feed from 7 to 11 a.m., drink from 11 to 3, rest from 3 to 7, and then feed again from, I think, 7 to 10 o'clock or somewhere in there. Now that is a really unimpressive 1-star mature. Very different kind of firing animation there too. A lot less recoil, and I'm guessing / hoping maybe some of the more powerful weapons will still have more recoil, because that was way less than the 270 used to have. Also, I don't know that there was any sound before when you walk through water, but definitely an improvement there. So it's really cool to see some of these changes, even if they're small, kind of minor things, they make a big difference, especially when you first notice them. Now that is very different too, almost like a spatial sound thing. Like, because it's 250 yards away, it's not nearly as crisp of a sound. And I think even with just these couple of things we've seen so far, it's pretty evident there's going to be a little bit of kind of relearning the game today as we go along. But this guy was a very obvious call buck, ended up doubling him at 191 meters with the 270, 14%. Definitely needed taken out. That was not benefiting anything in the herd. And I think regardless of the next animal we see, I want to try taking it with the 300, just to kind of see if there's a difference in recoil. I hope there is, and again, knowing Way the Hunter, I kind of bet there is. And by the way, I got kind of thrown off by all of the changes happening right before our eyes, but as far as the zone times being relevant, what I wanted to do to start off this video was go and visit Midnight, but because I guess the zone times have changed, I went to where he typically would have been, and he wasn't around. But while we're doing this, definitely felt to be more recoil with the 300 there. I've noticed a couple of different things, including that shot, just a tiny bit of frame lag, and I don't know how that ends up showing up in the video itself. Hopefully that's something that can be solved along with the screen jittering, but it definitely takes away a little bit from what otherwise has been a very improved experience. I really like, maybe if we just fire into the sky, the difference between firing a weapon with a little less power. Let's have the mountain in view. Very little recoil there, whereas if we fire the 300, there's going to be significantly more. That's really cool. I like that they've done that. But as we get up here to claim our second animal of the hunt, a 2-star mature mule deer, and we'll see if we get a little frame lag as we claim him. That time it was very smooth. Double lung with the 300 at 200 yards, pretty much to be expected. He went absolutely nowhere. 46%, a good one to take out, and that leaves us now at about 9 a.m. So we have some time until animals are going to drink. I'm hoping we can find Midnight in his drink zones at least, and we'll just keep working our way down through here, see if we can find some other stuff, and I wouldn't be shocked if we run into some other changes, including actually the waypoint kind of logo there is a little more crisp than it used to be. So there are 2 things in frame right now that I've been kind of waiting on. One is the fact that the elk here on Nez Perce are finally labeled correctly as Rocky Mountain elk. I've been wanting to see that for a very long time. The other, perhaps more obvious thing, is the fact that we are into drink time now. I've noticed this throughout this hunt already though. There's something changed with the spotting, and it seems like when animals are clustered up, which happens pretty often, sometimes you're trying to spot a particular animal, and for whatever reason, you end up spotting something behind it, beside it, around it. It definitely seems to be a little bit tougher to zero in on a particular animal, but while attempting to spot the 4-star there, we did spot a 1-star, which should be that guy. And if the cow will ever get out of the way, we'll try to make that shot. He looks actually kind of even. I don't know. Maybe we should take this smaller one instead. It might be a young, but I feel like that may be the safer bet. I'm not even 100% certain that that's the 1-star adult I thought we were spotting. It probably was. So some changes that are definitely good, some that I'm not so sure about. And I really don't know what may have happened here with shooting this one. It could end up being a good one. It is just ever so slightly uneven though. That was a double long shot at 245 yards, and he is a 68%, so definitely didn't shoot something that would have been a potential 5-star. Though that was not the adult, he was a 1-star young, and that was kind of my fear. He's a decent sized young, but fortunately, not a 90+% or anything like that. We are obviously though well into drink time, and hopefully if Midnight drinks in the same area that he used to, we should be able to locate him down in here. And he is pretty easy to pick out in the distance now. It was never difficult to spot him, but much easier now I would say than in the past. He is currently a 1-star adult. I can't remember for sure if he's in his first or second year of being an adult. And something a lot of you guys have asked for is to do a similar video or short as we did with Showstopper, kind of going through the years and watching him grow. Now, we don't have much good footage of him from when he was a 1-star young, though to be fair, we never did with Showstopper either, and the problem is, because he drinks down here, you can see the wind direction. It's difficult to get the camera close enough to get good footage. If we tried from here, even with the FOV as low as it'll go, we still end up pretty far away. So we'll try to get closer, try to get a good look at him, and maybe that's something we could do. I would like to do it. It's really cool to watch when a deer is a rare. It's so obvious it's the same deer year after year. It makes for a really cool video. This one's just in a tough spot to do it. I mean, the mellas just look so much better now than they used to. I'm kind of glad that we took this break and didn't end up shooting him earlier, like aging him up to his maximum age, because to watch him grow looking like this is going to be far, far better. And actually, now that I think of it, that's another reason that doing the video starting from a 1-star young wouldn't even make sense. He looked entirely different before the changes, but we can see he's quite obviously uneven. He's got a split on the front side on his left antler, a split on the back side on his right antler, so not likely to be a really high star rating one, but definitely one that we're going to be keeping a close eye on. Now there was another buck in here, I think, that has a similar thing. I want to say it's that guy. Let's see if we can tell with the scope here. It's not exactly the same, but he's a 4x3, so uneven. Maybe not the exact same rack, which therefore I don't know if it has any bearing on how similar the genetics might be, but I think this guy could be maybe a decent expectation setter for what our melanistic buck Midnight might actually end up being. Because they are, I think, pretty similar in age. Based on how almost like reddish brown this guy is, he's a pretty young adult still, and that particular shot hit the artery as well as both lungs there at 90 yards. He is 66%, so if Midnight is in that range, 3-star, maybe 4-star mature is possible for him, and obviously when he gets to that size, he's going to look really good in the trophy lodge. No way. Check that out. We have an albino whitetail doe. I don't know what they're doing. Are we at the end of drink time already? I thought it ended at 3 p.m., so there should be a little bit of time, but they're walking up out of there, and if not for a call, I was still walking down to the zone that's 350 yards away, and we would have spooked them, but that is pretty cool. Also, I might add, a pretty stark contrast from when we first spotted Showstopper. I believe my words were something to the effect of, is that an albino? There's no guesswork now. It's really, really clear, and I think just the fact that we could tell so easily with an albino doe, because you will get mature whitetail does that are pretty gray, like almost white. There's still no mistaking it now. It is a little unfortunate that I think we're all the way at the end of drink time, because I wanted to get down here further, but if they're leaving, I don't think we're going to see much more. Look at that. Still, I think the eyes should be pink. You can see very clearly here they're kind of blue, but it's so much better than it was. I know it's not technically correct for the eyes to be blue, but they really are stunning like that. It's almost more like a leucistic, but obviously the pink nose and pink hooves would indicate that it is an albino, so double lung that. At 99.9 yards, interesting range for that to have happened. But she was just a 1-star young, which makes sense. We've been down here a little bit in recent hunts, and obviously had she been an adult or a mature, we would have had to have gone past her and not noticed. So probably one of the first years that she's been on this map, and go figure, it's just after the update that's made them better and much more obviously albino. So I decided to go ahead and rest forward today, and it turns out that was enough to trigger aging, and we can see that Midnight is now a 1-star mature, so I'd say 3-star is probably his peak, but if we look a little bit more closely, for I think the 3rd time now in his life cycle, he's evened out again. He's got the splits on the front side of the antlers and the singular tine on the back, both left and right, so it's really interesting how that's occurred, and he is a little bit older than I thought, and when it comes to rare animals in particular, as soon as they hit mature, it's important to pay attention to their age, so we want to know and probably write down that he is now 7 years old and has just a couple of cycles left until he hits that max age and we want to take him out. Now, because he's obviously going to get nowhere near 5-star, we'll probably err on the side of caution and take him at 11 years old just in case we screw anything up, but he's looking pretty good as even a 1-star, and hopefully gets to that 2 or 3-star mark before we end up taking him. And of course, another age cycle means another up-close look at him, as he is a little bit bigger than last time. I think he is uneven just slightly too. Like the tines and everything match, but his right side is a little stronger, longer tines, and a little less kind of waviness to him. I wish he'd kind of move around. There we go. Pretty cool though. I do want to make that short. I think it'd be cool. Even though he's already a mature, that's effectively going to be the same number of years as we had with Showstopper. Now, I don't know that we want to shoot another thing from this herd. I've talked about it before. There is a thing in the encyclopedia. If you shoot too many deer in a particular zone, they will just stop using it, and we really don't want that, especially if we want to be able to see this guy cycle after cycle and get that nice up-close footage. And of course, with an age cycle being confirmed with Midnight, we have to go and check on some of the things that we've been watching, and one that I could remember, despite not being on Nez Perce for a while, was a 4-star mountain goat that has turned into a 5-star. So now that that one behind him has cleared, we'll go ahead and take that shot with the 270. That's going to take some getting used to, like how much less recoil there is, but I think it's going to be nice for things like the montages and just general videos. We can see what happens a whole lot better when using a caliber with less recoil like that, and in that case, we got to very clearly see that our 5-star mountain goat drops. So I don't know that we've shot a 5-star mountain goat from here. Lots of 5-star bighorn. It's this lake up in the kind of northwest. There's a campsite right at it, really easy to get to. And before we take a look, we'll try to get a trophy shot here, though he didn't land in the best of positions. I mean, could be better, could be worse. That does give a really nice look at the Remington 7600. But let's take a look then at the mountain goat. Managed to double lung shot him there. It was 115 yards, not exactly a difficult shot to make. 91%. So probably a lower end. 466. I think mountain goats are one of, like most species, the ones that go to 5-star right at 460. So not bad. Adding a little trophy to the lodge. And I think actually on that note, we'll head back to the trophy lodge and take a look. And I guess no better spot to place it than right here. We had a mule deer here at one time, and I think it was a 4-star, as we apparently have 4 of them in the trophy manager. But let's go to the mountain goat. We could do 2 different ones. I think the kind of shoulder mount's going to be better. Add our 466 in there, and just kind of starts this little hallway. I want to hopefully get some 5-star mule deer and whitetail across here, or maybe some rares as well. I think a mix of both would be good. But just getting this started with our 5-star mountain goat, and I will be really intrigued to see, with Midnight, just how quickly he ages, because I felt like he shouldn't have been up to 7 years old yet. Maybe we were just hitting Nez Perce harder than I remembered prior to the update and stuff, but it seemed like he aged kind of quickly. And we know with this update, one of the other changes that happened is the kind of speeding up of aging for things like predators, some of the bigger animals. I think bison are most likely among them. I do not know if mule deer and maybe some other species have been sped up for aging, but I do have to wonder, and we'll be keeping a very close eye on that. But I think on that note, that's going to do it for this video. So as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.